United States President Harry S. Truman orders the development of the hydrogen bomb in response to the detonation of Soviet Union's first atom bomb in 1949. 372,000 coal miners strike in West Virginia, and Cunard liner Aquitania finishes her 36-year career and was scrapped. The year was 1950. And this phaeton Jeep, aka Jeepster, was on offer at Willys Overland. But before getting into all of it, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like, the automotive channel that digs affordable, lost and forgotten cars. Why drive an appliance when you can drive a machine? History, specs, design, but most importantly, we show what these cars are like. If that sounds of interest, a channel that you will totally dig, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. This 1950 Willys Jeepster is currently for sale at Classic Auto Mall. Walking through the front doors, I swear you can hear angels sing. With over 1,000 cars for sale when recording this episode. Anybody can go there and peruse their inventory for hours of operation, directions, and more information and pictures pertaining to this very Jeepster. Be sure to click the link below after the show. According to Wikipedia, Willys is the correct pronunciation. 1950 Willys model lineup consisted of the CJ3A, which was the civilian Jeep. Jeepster. They also made a station wagon and a truck, both in 2-wheel and 4-wheel drive, half-ton and 1-ton configurations for the truck. Willys produced the Jeepster for just a really small window in time, 1948 through 1951. But with that said, it's worth mentioning the Jeepster did get revived in the 60s when Kaiser owned Jeep. And that version was sold from 1966 through 1973 as the Jeepster Commando. We have to talk about this. So, after World War II, Willys essentially stole the rights to the Jeep. It's a long story. Willys wasn't the first company to make the Jeep. A small automotive company in Butler, Pennsylvania called Bantam was the first to make the Jeep. The Army reached out to companies for a reconnaissance vehicle to replace the horse. 3 companies showed up. They had to come up with a prototype in like 45 days. The 3 companies were Bantam, Ford, Willys. Willys didn't even have a working prototype. And somehow, Willys was able to obtain the rights to build Jeep under license. Bantam more or less faded into obscurity, eventually merging with Rolling Mills. Anyway, after the war, Willys started selling the CJ, or civilian Jeep. They also sold wagons and trucks, but they felt like they needed an off-the-wall offering. So they brought in designer Brooks Stevens to design a vehicle to bridge the gap between the CJ and their longer wheelbase offerings. Brooks Stevens returned with a 2-wheel drive phaeton-like Jeep, which was dubbed the Jeepster. So let's talk specs. But before we do, there is so much conflicting information on this one, and I never do this, but I use this site a lot. They're generally a good site to use because they have cars going back all the way up until 1945. This is also where I get the 0 to 60 times, top speed, and average fuel economy. It's a little hard to read because the information is small and is kind of jumbled up, and there's so many pop-up ads. I couldn't find all the information that I needed on this site, so I had to go cross-reference with another site, which was a Kaiser Willys site. And note, I'm not calling them out. This is just a quest for the right information. So that puts us in a bit of a conundrum because both of these figures are totally different. Let's compare side by side. I mean, they're totally different. They're not even in the same ballpark. And I just wanted to show you that it's deciphering bullshit. I'm not spoon-fed information. I have to go find it, and it makes it really hard when it's not the same across the board. And don't even get me started on bore and stroke sizes. I don't understand why sources have to round them. Like, why can't they provide the actual numbers? It's super frustrating. Anyway, rant over. Let's talk specs. 176.25 inches long, 72 inches wide, 72.8 inches tall. It rides a wheelbase of 104 inches. It weighs 2,485 pounds. Price, $1,535, which is equivalent to you spending $19,537.56 in the year 2024. Total 1950 Willys production was 90,424 units. Total Willys Jeepster in the 4 years of production was almost 20,000 units. Moving on to engines, which you had 4 engines to choose from. Starting out in the basement, 134.2 cubic inch displacement Go Devil inline 4, 2.2 liters. It's good for 63 horsepower, 4,000 RPM, 106 pound-feet, or 144 Newton meters at 2,000 RPM with a bore of 3.1 inches and a stroke of 4.4 inches. Compression is 6.4 to 1 with 3 main bearings. It's important to note that the L134, aka Go Devil, was upgraded in 1950 with an F-head. The new engine was called the Hurricane F-head. F doesn't stand for flathead. The intake valves are in the head, but the exhaust valves are in the block. The valve arrangement makes this engine have a taller block than the L-head version. 134 cubic inch displacement, Hurricane inline 4, 2.2 liters. It's good for anywhere between 72 to 75 horsepower, 4,000 RPM, 114 pound-feet, or 155 Newton meters at 2,000 RPM with a bore of 3.125 inches and a stroke of 4.375 inches. Compression is 6.9 to 1. Features 3 main bearings. Moving on to the first 6-cylinder offering, 148.5 cubic inch displacement, goes by the name of L148 Lightning, inline 6, 2.4 liters. It's good for 73 horsepower at 4,000 RPM, 117 pound-feet, or 159 Newton meters at 2,000 RPM with a bore of 3 inches and a stroke of 3.5 inches. Compression was 6.42 to 1. 4 main bearings. Moving on to the biggest and baddest engine on offer, which was 161 cubic inch displacement, goes by the name of L161 Lightning inline 6, 2.6 liters. It's good for 75 horsepower, 4,000 RPM, 125 pound-feet, or 171 Newton meters at 2,000 RPM with a bore of 3.1 inches and a stroke of 3.5 inches. Compression was 6.9 to 1. Featured 4 main bearings. Let's talk styling. Look at these headlights inside these bezels, as well as turn signals and or running lights. Look at how these have just bars coming up through this chrome slash stainless. to make the grill. Willys badge right there. Let's look at these bumpers with overrider bars and bumperettes. Look at all of the textures going on in that bumper guard design. Also, just check out, this one has an apron to hide the brackets. Just look at how that fender is designed. There's also different levels with this hood. And it does have a center line that goes back to the split windshield with opposing windshield wipers. Has a cowl vent. Just look at how these fenders are designed. It almost looks like a running board, but it's not, because it kind of stops before the door. This one does have gravel guards. It's kind of like a leather material. Look at these wheels. Pinstriped. Willys. Beauty ring. Bias plies. This one also has an apron in the back here too. The bumpers are different in the back than they were in the front. They don't have those bumper guards and the overriders that the front ones did. Has two brake lights, one on each side. This is a vinyl window. Getting inside, this door feels very light, but I love how it shuts. It feels kind of springy. Like, I'm just gonna let it go. That's really cool. So also notice the door is has a little bit of a bend to it by design. Door cards. Notice there isn't an armrest. You just use this as an armrest. This is a door handle to get out. Vent windows are manual. Notice this car does not have windows. It just would have like a canvas sides that buckle into these holes. Coming down inside the pedal box down here, high beam switch, clutch, brake, gas pedal, emergency brake and or hand brake. Just take a look at this interior. Here is what over the hood looks like. Here's what first person over the hood would look like. On to the button switches and knobs, starting in the center at the base of the windshield. Windshield wipers, Willys badge, speedometer, notice 0 to 8 times 10. Odometer inside the speedometer, high beam indicator just below that, gasoline gauge, key/ignition, oil pressure, choke, ashtray, headlights, amp meter, coolant temperature, lighter, cowl vent, lever. Up above, there are sun visors, and they're on the long and slender side. There is a rear view mirror here, another long and slender sun visor over there for the passengers. Notice 3 convertible top latches. There's one there, there's one in the center, and then there's one over here. On to the glove box test. Here's our test subject. Here's my hand for reference. Here is the glove box in question. And it fits. The heater is also down here. Taking a quick gander under the hood, this one has the 134 Go Devil, oil bath air cleaner, generator. Also notice the two-tone fan. Coming around to the driver's side, exhaust manifolds look like small ram horn design. Is this where Ford got the idea to do that? This is the first time seeing ram horns on a vehicle. Steering wheel shaft, two horns stacked one on top of another. Also notice how the hood opens from the firewall, moving to the passenger side. Better look at the generator situation, which this and the fan are the only belt-driven accessories. Distributor is also on this side, 6-volt battery. On the positive side, interesting styling and concept. Phaeton Jeep, or is it Jeep Phaeton? Fare collector following with active club support, camera fit in the glove box, full instrumentation, milestone car status against it. This vehicle does not have roll-up windows, so you have to deal with the side curtains. This vehicle also does not have a trunk, said to be noisy and uncomfortable to drive. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather. Two scenarios today. Would you rather have a 1950 Willys CJ3 or 1950 Willys Jeepster or 1950 Willys wagon? I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Moving on to the second scenario, 1950 Jeep truck or 1950 Willys Jeepster or 1950 Crosley Farm O Road. Once again, gonna leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to get both the name of the band and the song title correctly in the comment section will have their comment pinned to the top of it. Thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below. I read and answer all comments posted. I don't say that for self-worth. I say that because this is a car community that I'm very much a part of. I appreciate everything that you guys bring in the comment section. I love the stories. I love the critiques. I love what needs to be improved on. I just love the feedback. I just love hearing from you guys. And until next time, toodaloo!
Oh man, I wanted to do the toodaloo.